Hello, and thank you again for watching the last video on what it means to be part of a U.S. national team. We are now 75 days, or about 10 and a half weeks, out from the start of Worlds, and I want to talk to you in this video about training. We are not going to sit here and tell you how to train in terms of sets, reps, RPE, progressions, percentages of max, and so on. Most, if not all of you, are currently working under the tutelage of a coach who writes your programming, who prescribes your training. Clearly, that is a formula and recipe that has worked well for you, or you would not have come this far. What I do want to discuss with you in this video are two things that are entirely within your control and that are going to impact your performance significantly at Worlds. And I want you all to start training with some intentionality and being deliberate. And that's with regard to the way that you execute your lifts. So the IPF judging at World Championships is known to be the strictest in the world. For those of you that have not yet competed, I'm going to lean on returning team members such as Huáscar Carpio, Jessica Espinal, Natalie Richards, Amanda Lawrence, Jesus Olivares, just to name a few. You can lean on them. If you don't believe me, ask them. IPF Worlds is different in every imaginable way. It is going to look and feel different than any competition that you've ever done in the United States. I can guarantee you that. Specifically, the judging is the strictest anywhere in the world. So what I want to encourage, in fact, implore all of you in your training is once you get into your heavier loads, but even now, on your top working sets in the competition exercises, in the squat, bench press, and deadlift, you need to start executing your lifts to an irrefutable standard. And what that means is you need to be squatting well below parallel, that is convincingly deep. You don't need to put your butt on your heels or your ankles, but you need to squat significantly below parallel. Do not skate the line. You need to be holding your bench presses at arm's length. I would encourage you to start holding them right after the unrack on your working sets a little bit longer. Sometimes it takes a while for these referees to put their arms down and be convinced that you are set up in the correct start position. Once you lower that, you need to make sure that you're hitting elbow depth for our high archers and ultra wide benchers. Clearly you've gotten this far, so we're not insinuating that you need to reinvent the wheel. It's just to say that you should be mindful of elbow depth. You all should be pausing your bench presses, your working sets, at the very least, the very first rep of your working sets, your working repetitions on your top sets. Pausing the very first one. If you want to pause all of them, even better. And then pressing the weight back out to arm's length with elbows locked, all the while keeping your head, shoulders, butt in full contact with the bench, and obviously your feet need to be flat. Deadlifts need to be locked out to an irrefutable standard. You need to stand up and stand in the fully upright and erect position with knees locked, hips locked, shoulders back. You do not need to lean back excessively. That particularly becomes an issue in the sumo deadlift. When you really try to convince the judges and lean back even further, oftentimes the knees will rebend and that will result in a red light. Look, some of you got some lifts passed at previous competitions, namely Powerlifting America Classic Nationals in Reno that got overturned and had to go to the jury. And clearly, if you watched the live stream last year in Malta, Team USA was on the wrong end of some 2-to-1 decisions, as were some other countries, to be fair. We do not want to leave this to chance. We do not want to leave this in the hands of the referees. When you take ownership of your lifts and you execute to an irrefutable standard, you literally and figuratively take the power away from the referees and you place it back in your hands. And I would encourage you to do so. You are forcing the referee to give you a white light. And as you know, when you get 3 white lights, the lift cannot be overturned by the jury. So I would strongly encourage all of you to be executing to an irrefutable standard. The second thing that is well within your control is the pace. Congratulations to all of you. All of you, all 16 of you, will be lifting in the A group sessions, or the A group flights, as they call them, at IPF Worlds. That is the evening, or if you want to call them the primetime sessions. You are the strongest of the strong. Every single one of you deserves to be there. Every single one of you, at the very least, can make the podium. Most of you can achieve individual medals in some of the individual lifts, and a lot of you have a good shot at winning. All that is to say is that you are in these premier flights for a reason. However, these are short flights of 8 lifters each. If you've seen the invitation, the 69 and 93s, as well as the 84 plus and 120 plus, are even going to be featured on Eurosport. All that is to say is that these platform crews of spotters and loaders operate like a Formula One pit crew. They are lightning fast. I went back to the live stream last year from Malta and timed the flights, and the average flight took roughly about 23 minutes. That is less than 60 seconds per lifter. You are going to do your lift. The other 7 lifters in the flight are going to do theirs, and then it's going to come right back to you. Game day feels a lot different than a training day, and I can guarantee you that when your adrenaline is pumping in Lithuania, this is going to feel a lot faster. So be prepared. The way that you can best prepare for that is to begin training at a faster pace. I would encourage all of you to take no more than 6 to 7 minutes rest between your working sets. If you are already doing that, great, continue to do so. If you are not doing that and you are taking longer, you need to pick up the pace. For those of you that execute SBD days in your training, you need to wrap up your entire SBD day in roughly about 2.5 hours. When you do the math and you take 8 lifters, 8 women and 8 men, that's 16. You multiply that by 3 attempts. You add in 10-minute breaks after the squat, after the bench press. Everything is going to be finished in about 2 hours and 45 minutes. And in all likelihood, it's going to end a little bit faster. That's why I say if you're doing your SBD days, do them in about 2.5 hours. So you need to be training to an irrefutable standard, and you need to be training faster. This will better acclimate you for the rigors of the competition in Lithuania. That is entirely within your control, and I would encourage you to start doing that now. Lastly, a lot of you post your training on social media, and oftentimes that's a highlight reel. We do know that some of you don't post or share your training on social media, and that's fine. However, the coaching staff needs to see your training before we go over to Worlds. We cannot just simply step out on faith and if you say I have this weight and I'm capable of doing this weight, you need to prove it to us. We want to see you struggling and straining under load. We also want to see your positioning in the certain lifts so that we know where you struggle, where you strain. If you miss a lift or when it gets hard, where in the range of motion is that? All of that is a long way of saying that we desperately want to keep an eye on your training. Does that mean that we need to see every single thing from now until Lithuania? No, of course not. However, we are going to require check-ins during the last 4 to 5 weeks. That is during your peaking block or during your peaking phase. So right around the start of May, we're going to begin our athlete management system that I have developed. And that is going to require check-ins from each of you. And honestly, it's going to be done once per week. In all likelihood, they will be sent out on Fridays. I know that some of you finish your training week at that time, or it's finished over the weekend, and it will enable you to check in over the weekend. And honestly, this form is going to take you about 5 minutes to complete in a Google Sheet. And then that way we can get our eyes on your training. We will understand what you're capable of. And that will help us when we get together with your coach and we do a video call and we collaboratively install your competition game plan for Lithuania. So in the meantime, we ask that you focus on the things that you can control. That is your attitude, your consistency, your effort, your preparation, and as I said before, the way that you are executing these lifts to an irrefutable standard and at a fast pace during training. Most importantly, we want you to train hard and stay healthy. We believe in you. Next week, we're going to talk about goal setting, and thank you so much for watching.